before he was raiding the Lost Ark, before he started a war in the stars, even before he was putting graffiti on American streets. George Lucas pounced onto the scene with THX 1138. He even referenced it in several of his other films, like this in American Graffiti, the THX Audio Company, this joke from Indiana Jones, and of course...
Where are you taking this thing?
Prisoner transfer from cell block 1138.
This was Lucas's first film, an expansion of his student film of a similar name. Being that it was released in the early 70s, it's naturally about a totalitarian future where the man controls everything. It was really one of the first adaptations of Huxley's Brave New World, though rendered differently enough that he couldn't be sued for it. Kind of like another movie. Anyway, it was really dark and moody, such a big contrast from Lucas's other films that it's even hard to put into the same category. It even has sex and nudity in it. I didn't realize George Lucas knew about those kinds of things. The film follows a human who was grown in a test tube named THX 1138, played by Robert Duvall before he got real famous. He works at the robot factory, putting nuclear cores in the robocops that patrol whitewashed hallways. However, he soon begins to see the problems with the artificial society he lives in, and experiences love-making, human connection, and individuality for the first time. And is then locked in an insane asylum with Donald Pleasance. Wait a minute!
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Of course, that's not black eyes he's looking at. Look at how white this movie is. I'm surprised the Panthers didn't shoot it up or something. I wonder how this whiteness effect was achieved. Like, it doesn't look like they're on some kind of cheap soundstage at all. Eventually, he escapes the system with a big car chase from the RoboCops behind him. And it ends with the man arisen, looking into the rising sun. Okay, so this movie is weird, to say the least. Really, if it wasn't George Lucas's first film, I wouldn't have even bothered with it. However, it does show his beginnings as a filmmaker. It was different from a lot of other films at the time, and even in how the opening credits show up. Look, they're backwards. There are lots of other little moments that I like in the film, like how it starts with an ad for an old Buck Rogers cereal which promises the hopes and adventures of what we thought the future was, segueing into the cold, dark reality of what the future is, and by extension, what our present is. Of course, these movies aren't talking about some kind of far-off theoretical future which might affect us, but rather a commentary on the present and how we're trapped by society. Some other scenes I like are this one where Duvall is essentially watching internet porn and donating his sperm to the machines. Yeah, it's gross, but I can't help but feel this is a commentary on our reality today. Not that I would know much about that. Also, I like how the only black character in the film is a hologram, though it's never specified what they mean by that, implying he's less than a real person. Of course, I'm from the South, so I have to support this notion. Another little moment is right here, where Pleasance is reminiscing about his days as a pod-born child.
When I was at school, it was all very different. We used to stay in bed all the time. Combined primary economics. Combined primary economics was a bottle about this big. Took a week.
Wow.
It shows just a little bit of humanity in inhuman people. This theme of robots replacing humans and the machine taking over is one Lucas has revisited again and again. Obviously in Star Wars, the main villain has lost his humanity and is more machine now than man. But it goes deeper. In the final chase of the film, Luke Skywalker is able to destroy the Death Star by shutting off his computer and putting his faith in the Force. The robotic, industrial-grade weapons of the Empire are defeated by cute little teddy bears, and even in the rumored prequel films, there's supposedly a theme of robots fighting against robotically cloned humans. Of course, those films don't actually exist, so there's no use of thinking of them. In Indiana Jones, all of the mechanical weapons of the Nazi Wehrmacht are defeated by supernatural forces, supposedly originating from God. The irony being, of course, that Lucas himself has begun to merge with the machines and is slowly evolving into the Singularity. Like Star Wars, he came back and doctored footage of THX, adding in digital effects to improve certain scenes he already had. And, like in Star Wars, they clash horrendously with the surrounding effects. But since no one really liked this movie, it didn't ruin anyone's childhoods. I kind of want to make a prequel to it, just to show Lucas the error of his ways. And when I say no one liked it, I'm not just being mean. It was a total failure at the box office. Critics hated it, and even Duvall and Pleasance distanced themselves from it. Still, Lucas persisted and managed to bring light to the silver screen. I wonder what would have happened if it hadn't been such a failure. Would Lucas have gone on to stardom and not directed Star Wars? Would he have still directed it, but it would have been different, not as good? I hesitate to say it could have been better. If he had made them anyway, what if he didn't get so consumed by Star Wars and Indiana Jones and instead managed to make more and more films, each from a new and different perspective? How would the world have changed in all this time? Now, I tell a lot of jokes about Lucas being an idiot, and I might sound like someone who says, George Lucas ruined my childhood, but I'm just kidding. George Lucas gave me some of the happiest memories of my life, sitting in front of the TV, Darth Vader toys clutched in my hands. The man may have fallen astray, but he was still a man with a vision that inspired us. George, if you're out there, thank you. This is one childhood you didn't ruin.